we're going to do a two-leveled, let's see, how do I explain this? Like a double threshold crossing condition, right? So I'm going to use the stochastics here for this condition. And so we're looking to get a long output when the stochastic D crosses above the 80, right? And we want to hold on to this long output until the stochastic crosses below the 70 threshold, right? And then kind of basically the same for the short sides here. So when the stochastic crosses below the 20, we want to get a short output. Basically, this is going to be like a short permissive condition. We'll hold on to this short condition until, let's see, I don't want to use an arrow. Well, I'll use this arrow here. Until we cross above the 30, right? And then we won't have any condition, any permissive condition. And then once again, we cross below the 20, and we'll have a short permissive condition. And then we'll lose that short permissive once we cross above the 30 level. So let me mark a few things here. And okay, so we're looking to hold on to the long condition from the arrow all the way to the triangle. And from this arrow all the way to the triangle, and so forth. So, all right. Well, for all the new people in the room this morning, I'll show you, walk through putting BloodHound on the chart real quick. All right, so we're going to pull up the indicators list like normal. And BloodHound is down here on the bottom under SI. So you'll see our indicators, BloodHound and our indicators are under SI for shark indicators. So we'll just double click it, add it to the chart, click OK, and sorry about the phone. All right, so we have BloodHound on the chart there, and you can see the BloodHound button appears up here to open up the interface. And we also have the pull-down menu if you create a logic template. So the way I like to work is I like to have my chart on one side of the screen and then put BloodHound on the other side of the screen, like so. That way when I'm working in BloodHound, I can easily switch back and forth between the two. All right, so I'm going to just start working on the logic template here. So I'm going to take a shortcut. Normally I will build my solvers, put my solvers together on the solver tab, and then I'll switch over to the logic tab. But today I'm just going to do something a little different here. So to start a new logic template, hit the new button, of course, and then I'm going to give this a name here. We'll call it the stochastic permissive. Let's see, yeah, we'll just call it the stochastic. How about trend permissive? So typically, the stochastic is used for identifying when you're in an overbought or oversold condition, but then also when you're in the overbought condition, some people use that to say, well, that's what your trend is. You're in a long trend. So we'll just call this a trend permissive. And so the first solver I'm going to start with is let's see, Normally, you would use the threshold solver to determine when you've crossed a certain threshold. So actually, I'll go through that. I'll just do a quick demo on the threshold solver. But eventually, what I've decided is I'm actually going to use the crossover solver in combination with a function node. So first, let me kind of show like a normal, well, not normal, but I guess standard way to detect when your indicator has crossed a certain level or a threshold level. So I'll take the threshold solver and set it up so that when we cross the 80 and cross the 20, that we get our long and short permissives here. So I'll connect this into the result node, and I'm going to name this solver first, and let's see, I'll just call it the stochastic 80-20. Go find the stochastic down here. All right, there's our stochastic. So I double clicked on it, or you can hit the add button there, either way. And I'm just using the default periods, and I'm using the D plot, so that's already selected for me since it's on the top of the list. So if I wanted to use the K plot, obviously I would just select it there like that. Okay. So I'm looking for the D plot to cross the 80 and to cross the 20. So here's a little trick about the threshold solver, and this is in the training video on the documentation for the threshold solver, and that is that you need the values from A to E to be in descending order. So in other words, I can't go from 80 to 0 back up to 20 because that's not in descending order. So all these zeros need to be changed to a value between 80 and 20. So I'm just going to say 50. I'll just pick one in the middle and put a 50 in there. So now you can see they're in descending order, like so. And then the next thing is the threshold solver is the one solver that doesn't have a default output set for you. So even though you can see I have my threshold value set, you'll see there's no output from BloodHound yet. And that's because you can see all the output values are set to 0. So I had to put a value in one of these. So I'm looking for a long output from BloodHound when we're above 80. So you can see here the description says at 80 or greater is equal to 0, but I want a long output from BloodHound, so I'm going to set this to 1. And then down here on the short side, well, first let me stop, and you can see right here that already BloodHound started providing a long output there. Then we can see it lines up with when BloodHound gets up to the 80 threshold. And you can see as the stochastics plot gets to 50, so right here, so you can see BloodHound has a little bit of an output. It's got 0.25 on its output, and we can see that it's right at about just above the 50 level. So as soon as the stochastic gets to 50, and as it starts approaching 80, the output gets closer and closer to a value of 1. Right, it gets closer to my value of 1 here. So something, let me see, let me add another stochastic indicator. So when I'm kind of testing out systems, it sometimes helps to actually know exactly where the plot is. So when you have a line value, you don't know exactly where the value of the D is, because it just looks like one continuous line. So here's a little trick I'll show you guys. So I don't want to see the K, so I'm going to set this transparent, and then I'm going to set this to white basically, and I'm going to use the dot, and I think just a two width dot will work just fine, and I need to make sure it's on the same panel. So it's panel 2. I'll put the stochastic on the same panel as the other stochastic. And, so you can see here I got a little warning message because I skipped a step. I didn't put a name. I didn't name my template. So BloodHound's not able to save this template, right? So what happened, it was when I clicked OK on this indicator panel, right, the chart always refreshes, the chart updates, refreshes itself. And because BloodHound is an indicator on the chart, NinjaTrader needs to close the BloodHound interface in order to complete the refresh on the chart. And so when the BloodHound interface closes, it automatically saves your work. It automatically saves your BloodHound template back to the file. But if you don't have a name, BloodHound doesn't have a file created yet to save your data to. So it's giving us a little warning here, asking me, do I want to create a template name so it can save my work? So let's click yes and give this a name. Let's see, I'm going to use last week's name and just change the date on here. So we're already in May, and it's almost Cinco de Mayo. Oops. Today is the 3rd, not the 5th. All right, so this will create a name, and BloodHound can save the template file. And there we go. Now the chart can update. And also you'll notice that the button on the top of the chart changed. The name on the button changed to match the BloodHound template name. All right, so now you can see also on the stochastic panel here, you can see the little dots. So you can see the white dots on top of the line plot. So now we know exactly what the value is of the stochastic. So I can see the BloodHound down here when it's giving us this value of about 0.25 or 0.22. The stochastic is at 57, and as it gets closer to 80, you can see right here the stochastic is about 78, 79, right? And we can see that the BloodHound output is at about 0.95, or we could say 95%, right? So this BloodHound here, on this bar, BloodHound's output is at 0.65 or 65%, right? And down here, BloodHound's output is at 0.25 or 0.24, and so that's 24%. So really, what BloodHound's providing is a percentage output, a percentage ranging from 0% all the way up to 1 or 100%. And so that percentage output is based on your indicator value, or it's based on the stochastic's value ranging from 50 to 80. So the closer we get to 80, the closer we get to 100%, represented by 1. So now I can put a 1 on the short. So on the short output, we want at 20 or less. So when it's below, when the stochastic is below 20, we want a short output. Put that in there. And, And there we go. All right, so this setting up the solver template in this form or with these threshold values, you can see it provides us with a analog type output or a fuzzy logic type of output, because it's providing us, you know, a percentage of confidence that our condition is being met. Right, so the closer the stochastic gets to 80, right, that means the closer that our condition is being met of wanting a long output at 80 or above. Right, so if we want to change this to a cleaner digital type output, what I can do is, let's see, set B to 80. So you'll see on the longs we now have a clean digital type of output. And so what happened is that B on our long output at B is set to 0. So from 50 is 0 to 80 is 0. So there's no output from this solver until the stochastic gets to 80 or greater, and then it gives us 100% confidence. So now we can see we only get a long permissive from the solver once the stochastic is above 80. And then I can change D down to 20 and get the same digital type output from the short side. So, all right, so let me put this back like that. All right, so that's kind of like the normal, you know, threshold solvers is your typical use for things, for indicators like the stochastic or the CCI. You know, a lot of people like looking at the CCI to be above 100 or above 200, something like that. Another use would be like the MACD, to see if the MACD is above or below 0. That's another common use for the threshold solver. All right. So let me hold on just a sec before I get on, excuse me, before I move on, and then we'll work on building this condition, you know, crossing above 80 and then below 70 here. So I see a couple of questions came in here. All right, so Darren is asking, can you do something about entry and exit logic, or tell me where best to look on the videos, etc., please? Yes, Darren, I'll get to that. I'll address your question towards the end of the workshop here. And Adam, I see you have Next Gen Revolution software. Does that software work? Yes, Adam. I did a couple of workshop videos a week or two ago, and I was using the Next Gen Revolution, it's the actual Next Gen Revolution indicator, where John Novak, the owner of Next Gen, he opened up the plots and made them available in the Revolution to BloodHound. So those are available, and John and Jeremy just did a webinar not last night, but yesterday evening, demoing the Revolution software and also a template file that John had put together with their system on it. So, all right, so Tony, Tony's asking, we could also push down the mid mouse button to see the value, right? Let's see, push down the middle button. You know, that might be a NinjaTrader trick, I don't know. Ah, that's cool. Thanks for that tip, Tony. I didn't realize Ninja 7 had this. So, yeah, great little tip from Tony there, guys. So, if you push down your middle mouse button, which usually is your scroll wheel Sometimes some scroll wheels, you can push them down as a button, and you can see the data displays on there. So I can see the stochastic D is at 57.33 and the K is at 100. So this is actually showing, yes, right, there's two different stochastics on here. So, neat. All right, thanks for that tip, Tony. That's pretty cool. I like that because I don't actually like having my data box up. Typically, it usually gets in my way, but just being able to, I guess, click on the chart like that, that's slick. All right, Adam's got another question here. Is there recording somewhere? Yes, there is, Adam. I'm not sure it's up yet. It's probably not up yet, but hopefully Jeremy will get it posted up on our YouTube channel this weekend. Let's see. Greg has a question. I did a search for opinions on NextGen, and there were a lot of negatives posted. Well, you know, Greg, as soon as you get big, you know, Apple, everybody used to love Apple products, but they're big enough now to where people are whining about the iPhone 5 and it can't do this and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, that happens to everybody. I'm sure that once Shark Indicator just gets big enough, we'll start having to create a complaint department as well. So, you know, like we always say, almost everybody out there has a trial. You know, take advantage of their trial and judge for yourself. Not everybody's trading style works for everybody. So, you know, you got to find a trading style that works for you. And a lot of people are trying to find just a purely mechanical trading system. They think they can just lay down some money, buy a turnkey system, and not have to do any work ever again and go relax on the beach. Well, anybody who's really put some effort into trading knows that's not the case, at least not for the retail trader. So, I think even the big hedge funds on Wall Street, you know, they have good algorithms, but I bet you there's always someone monitoring the system, making sure, you know, putting some human discretion to their systems. And all right, so it looks like I got through them. Okay, so no more questions, so I will get through this this demonstration here, and then I'll address the questions that come up here. So, okay, so what I'm going to use is a crossover solver looking for when the stochastic crosses the 20 level and the 30 level, right, for our short permissives. And then I'll need another two crossover solvers looking for when the stochastic crosses the 80 and 70 values. So let's set this to the side, and I'll just start putting down some crossover solvers. And switch this over to the stochastic. All right, so we got the stochastics down here. It's already we have the D plots selected already. Just hit OK. So the next thing I need to do is plug it in. And it's not quite going to be working correctly because indicator B is still set to our SMA 14. So what I'm looking is for the stochastic to be crossing the 80 level. And so the 80 is an absolute value. So I need to change the type to an absolute value of 80. And our output is already set. The default settings for our output is the way we want them. So crosses in direction is set to 1. And so we can see that when the stochastic crosses up and across the 80, we can see we get a long output. And then when it crosses down below the 80, we get a short output. And let's see, do we have any others yet? So here's a couple of other examples. All right, simple enough. Okay, so now let me name this first before I get carried away. All right, so this is the stochastic 80 crossover. So I'm going to add another crossover solver, connect it up to the result node. This will be my stochastic 70. So I'll switch this over to the stochastic again. And then change my type to an absolute value. And we want 70 this time. So now there we go. We can see I'm getting along when we cross above the 70 and below the 70. All right. Now I could do this 2 more times, or I can take a shortcut here. So I can go over to the solver tab. I can copy that and copy that solver again. And I will rename it to the 30 and then change my absolute value to 30 so that they match. And then I can change this one to 20. Change my absolute value to 20. And so basically these two solvers are now all set up. So I need to go back to the logic board and drop those solvers onto the logic board here. So I'll go back to the solver pull down menu. You can see here we have existing nodes. So I just need to drop those 2 new nodes that I created. There's 30 and the 20. So they dropped right here in the middle. Let me put these over here, get this off to the side, and I'm going to connect these solvers up just to make sure they're working correctly. Yep. So we're getting a short when it crosses below 30, long when it crosses above 30. That guy's working correctly. And this 20 solver, or 20 threshold, or say, this 20 level crossover solver should be working correctly as well. All right, looks good. So now we have 4 crossover solvers for our 4 different levels here. And now it's a matter of combining them all up here. So what I'm going to use is when we'll work on the long side first. All right, so just to restate what we're doing, so when we cross above 80, we want to hold on to this long condition. So it's going to create like a long permissive situation here. So we want to hold on to this long condition until the stochastic crosses below 70. So the way I'm going to hold on to that is I'm going to use the toggle node to hold on to that. So I'm going to connect it up into the input, take the output, plug it in here, and there. So you can see when it crossed above the 80, it held on to this long condition until, let's see, Oh, okay, so the no no action, no action. So we don't have anything coming into the reset. So this is actually not doing anything. So let me back up here. And, oh, yeah. So here's what's going on. So let me mark the bar here. So we cross above 80 here. And then we don't, the stochastic doesn't cross the 80 until we get right over here. And you can see this is when the toggle node turns off. Because the toggle node, it's defaulted to toggling. It's on toggle mode. So every time the stochastic crosses above 80, it toggles it on. And then when we cross above 80 again, it toggles it back off. Right? So that's not the mode that we want. So we actually want, the mode that we want is we want to be forced on, right? And then we're going to use the reset to turn the state off. All right. And something else that we want to do as well is in the stochastic, in the crossover solver, I actually only want to evaluate the longs only. Okay, so now when I look on the chart, I'm not getting any shorts from this toggle node, right? So I'm only getting, so if I connect up the crossover solver, I only have long outputs now, because that's really all that we're interested in. We're only interested in the long permissive when we're above 80. So now that I changed the toggle node to force it on, so when we get an input signal, right, so this section, this input section is referring to solvers, or basically the leader connected to the input. We have it set to force on, and we're going to have to set up let me see here. Actually, no, we're going to use the reset to turn the long state off. So we're going to use the reset node to turn the long state off when the stochastic crosses below the 70 here. Oops. So right there. So we're going to use this crossing below to turn the toggle node back off. So I'm going to take this crossover, plug it in, and this crossover, I'm actually only interested in the shorts that are coming out of it. So let me change the behavior of this. Here, I'll connect it up to the result node first. So we only want the shorts. All right, so when the stochastic crosses below the 70, we're only interested in the shorts, and we'll use this short signal to turn the toggle node off. So now we have, right, a leader connected to the reset. So for the reset, on signal, or actually it's going to be on signal, since we're dealing with the long sides right now, on signal would refer to the long signals. And on opposite signal, the opposite signal of the longs would be the shorts, right? So the on signals, we actually are just going to do no action. But when we get an opposite signal, meaning a short, or when we get the cross below the 70, we want to force it off. So there. Let's take a look at that. So let me shrink this up here. And we'll take a look at this section right here. Let me put a little marker on here. All right, so I'll reiterate again how this toggle node is functioning here. So when the stochastic crosses above 80, right, this crossover solver is giving us this single long condition, right? And this long condition is going into the input of the toggle node, into the input section here. So on signal, it forces the toggle node on. It forces the state on. And then we're using this crossover solver for the 70 value, right? So when the stochastic crosses below the 70, we're getting a short output. And so we're connecting, right, we have this crossover solver connected into the reset. And so back onto the toggle node, so the reset section that's coming in on the opposite signal, so the opposite of the long, right, so this is the on signal is our longs coming in. And so when we get a short that comes in, or the opposite signal, we want to force the toggle node back off. And so that's what turns the short condition back off. So now we just need to create another toggle node for the short side. All right, so I'm going to rearrange these. So this 20 is what's going to turn the short state on. Let's go find a work area on the chart here. Here we go. Right over here. Okay, so for this crossover solver, we're only interested really in its short signal, in its short output when we cross below the 20 value. So I'm going to change the evaluate here to shorts only. No. And I'm going to take a moment to actually name this. So let me name this the, let's see, how about if I call this, what should I call this? The, I don't like putting too long of a name in there, so I'll just call this above 80. Let's see. Maybe I'll call it the stochastic 80/70 toggle. And it's for the long side as well. So I don't like putting too long of a name in there because you can see it stretches out the nodes. So it kind of eats up your workspace. So let me name this toggle node. All right, so that's a 20 to 30 short toggle. All right, so now we'll connect the solver up here, connect the toggle node into the result node, and so we can see once again this toggle node, its default state is set to toggle, right? So it toggled on when we crossed below the 20, and then when we crossed below the 20 again, it toggled itself back off. But we actually want it to be, we want to force it on every time. And then if I connect up the crossover solver for the 30 level into the reset and switch back over to the toggle node. And so for the in the reset section on the opposite signal, I want to force it back off. And just to be safe, I'm going to set the on signal to no action. So let's take a look here. Right, so we cross below 20 and we turn the short state on, and then when we cross above the 30 we turn the state off, and so forth. So now if we want to see them both together, let me zoom out here. I can join them both together with an OR node. Connect that up and connect these two guys in. And there we go. So there we go. There's our short permissives and our long permissive state completed. Oh. All right. Well, so that was it. I see that a bunch of questions coming in here, so let me get to some of these questions. So, all right. So Tim is asking, for next gen to work with BloodHound, do you have to use the RJ spectrum bars? Well, Tim, I did answer that with you this morning. Yes, you can use you don't have to use the RJ bars, I believe. It should work just fine with the Unirenko bars. But once again, I have not used the next gen system enough to give you a qualified answer on that. It'd be best to talk to the next gen, trainers, coaches, to find that out. And also, I guess if you have the RJ bars, just put two charts up side by side, one with the RJ and one with the Unirenko. So anyways, that's kind of so BloodHound, really to kind of answer the question for BloodHound, BloodHound can use any bar type. All a bar type is it's just 4 price values, right? A bar just consists of the open, high, low, and close. So all bar types have this exact same data, and all it is just data with the 4 different price types, the open, high, low, and close. So BloodHound works with any bar type. So whether that affects the next gen system, I'm not qualified to answer that for you, Tim. So I would suggest talking to the next gen folks over there. All right. Shoot, unfortunately, Asif has left. All right, so Tony has a question here. I don't know next gen. In the seminar, that is what next gen almost was saying. So, all right. So guys, I would appreciate it if you could try and keep your comments for BloodHound, because this is a BloodHound training workshop. So, the purpose is to teach you guys BloodHound, and I don't want it to turn into a discussion forum for next gen's, pros and cons and your guys' opinion. That's what Big Mike's Big Mike's Trading is all about. You guys can discuss the pros and cons of NextGen over there. You know, that forum is much better suited for stuff like that. So let's see. Richard saying, Jeremy, FYI, I can see the screen. So Richard, I don't think Jeremy's actually watching the workshop. So Richard, it'd be best to reply back to the ticket to give Jeremy some feedback. So let's see, Tony. So Tony's saying, I really like your visual editor. Is there a print diagram feature? No. No, sorry, Tony, there's no print feature here. You know, all the little bells and whistles and stuff, we're going to add that later on, but we have some bigger projects we want to get done first. But eventually we'll add, you know, some nice convenience things like the ability to copy a solver from within the logic tab, so you don't have to go over to the solver tab to copy or and things like that. You know, we'll add some kind of, I guess, standard editing features. So, yeah, looks like my graphics card wigged out there for a sec. All right. So I'm just going to read through some more questions here. So let's see. TJ's got a question. For NextGen to work with BloodHound, do you have to use the RJ? Oh, I think I already answered that one. Let's see. Tony has a question. I did not get when you connected the reset of below 70 to the result. Actually to the reset. It'll only show me candle on the chart and not a whole bunch. Let's see. Tony's got another question. What was the Big Mike? Okay, that's a different question. All right, so Tony, let me read this out loud again, and I'll try and explain this. Hopefully I understand your question correctly. So Tony's saying, I did not get when you connect the reset of below 70 to the result. It only shows one candle on the chart and not a whole bunch. All right, so we'll work on the long condition here. So let's just work on the long condition here. And all right, so we'll just work on this area here. So what it did, I created this crossover solver, right? That's going to mark. It's going to mark when the stochastic crosses above 80. So you probably have that part down. And then I created another crossover solver that marks when stochastic crosses below 70, right? And we're getting a short signal, or the opposite, right? The short is the opposite of a long signal. And so on this toggle node, I'll disconnect the reset. So on the toggle node, I'm using the input section, right? So this input section here, on signal, so in other words, on signal, so on the long signal, I'm going to force the state on. right? So obviously, as soon as the first long signal comes in, we're going to get longs forever, right? So basically, we don't see the plots over here because this is within the first 20 bars, but we can see from BloodHound's shading the chart that the stochastic had crossed above the 80 level on this bar, and basically it turned the toggle node on, right? And so right now we have the input forced on, and it's just going to stay on because there's nothing to turn it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm using the reset input, the reset node here, to force that state off. So this crossover solver, remember, it's giving us a short output. So in other words, that would be the opposite signal, the opposite of a long. And so if I connect it into the reset, let me connect the toggle node back off. So the short that's coming out of this crossover solver, I'm using it to force the toggle node back off. Just like so. So right there. Let me find my examples. There we go. There. So the short that comes out of the crossover solver, when it crosses below 70, that short is what's forcing the toggle node off. So Tony, I hope that clears that up for you. And all right, so Tony's got another question here. What was that Big Mike add-on to add icons to NinjaTrader? All right, yeah, this is pretty handy, guys. So this is called the toolbar shortcut. All right, it's called the toolbar shortcut indicator. Available up on Big Mike. So there it is right there, the toolbar shortcut. All right. And all right. So it looks like Sandy got it. This was Sandy's question to us yesterday. So all right. Daniel's asking, Daniel's is making a comment, I guess, answering Tim's question earlier. You can use any bars you want, I guess, with the next-gen system. No. Daniel's saying he prefers to use the Unireco. All right, Gerard has a question. Zach, you mentioned to me recently that you have found that RJ's median Renko bars had a repaint problem. Yeah, I suspected that, but I don't have proof of it. I had kind of asked you guys to see if someone had had proof of that, because I don't actually have RJ's median Renko. So I don't know that for sure, but that's kind of what I suspected. So Gerard also goes on to state, so regarding the next-gen webinar of yesterday, where they use RJ's Renko spectrum bars, right, which is different than the median Renko bars, do you think there may also be a repaint problem with these as well? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Gerard. At least not from what I've seen. But I haven't gone and verified that yet. I haven't actually looked to see if the spectrum bars repaint. So, but let's see, I did I didn't actually look for repaints, but I did do a quick comparison of one chart with the Unirenco and one chart with the RJ bars on them. And I didn't notice any repainting, any obvious repainting. So, all right, so Randy, John has said the system will work with all bar types. Actually, yeah, that's right. During the webinar yesterday, John had actually said that when they had originally come out with their system, like 10 years ago, or however long it was, they originally were using minute bars, right? I don't think anybody had created Renko bars when NinjaTrader was in its infancy. So basically, most of the coaches that were on NinjaTrader, 10 years ago, were just using the standard minute bars or tick bars. And John has had his system around for quite a while, and he was using minute bars. But he prefers the Renko bar because it does smooth out the chop, right? It does eliminate all the choppiness. Oh. All right, so Buddy's got a question here. Let me just read it real quick. Okay, so Buddy's asking, if you have a proprietary indicator that produces an icon on the chart, an icon on certain conditions, how can BloodHound detect if the icon appears or not? Do we need an API for this proprietary indicator? No, what you need is to have the developer of that proprietary indicator to create a data series output, and then BloodHound can read that data series. So let's see, an example would be, let's see if let's see if I have a chart that might have something like that on it. The Woody CCI. Let's see. All right, I'm just going to throw Solver on here so I can get into the BloodHound's indicator list. And let's see if I can find. Oh, here we go. Perfect. So up on Big Mike's, right, there's several versions of this ADX VMA indicator. So it's a moving average type indicator. So if I add it down here, we can see this actually has a data series, and we can see it has a signal data series as well. Let's see. So that signal, let's use that signal there, and let's see. I'll just compare it to 0. So we'll see what we get out. And of course I need to put the ADX indicator on here so we can match it up. Let me change the plot colors, make this a little more visible. And let's see, the dots, gold. Gold doesn't show up too well up against the orange bars. So purple, here we go. Where's a medium purple? Let's try that. I changed the wrong color. Well, all right, let's see. Yeah, so you can see BloodHound's giving us a long output when we're getting the blue line plot or the up plot, and we can see BloodHound's giving us a short output when we get the red plot. And there's no output from BloodHound when we get the basically the kind of consolidation plot of price. So this is what I'd recommend, buddy, is have that developer add a data series with to signal when that chart marker shows up on the chart. So I think what's happening is what's the value in this data series is either probably a 1 or a -1, because what I'm doing is I'm comparing that data series from the ADXVMA to a value of 0. So if that data series is greater than 0, we're going to get a long, and if that data series is less than 0, we're going to get a short. So it's probably like a 1 or a -1 in this data series here. So that's what you need. So unfortunately, if you just throw a chart marker up there, NinjaTrader doesn't provide a way to capture these chart markers. So we don't have that ability yet. And I say yet because who knows what's coming in version 8. And buddy, you're always welcome, if the developer of your indicator, if he's a good friendly guy and he would like to talk to us, Jeremy is always available to talk to other third-party developers to kind of help them out with what BloodHound needs. All right. So Tim is asking, is there such a thing as average true range bars? Sorry, Tim, I don't know. Let's see. Greg is asking, how do you zoom in and out on your Logic workspace? Well, that's it looks like I'm really got a weird issue with my video card today. But you just zoom the scroll wheel. So I'm using the scroll wheel to zoom out and the scroll wheel to zoom back in. And on my mouse, if I press down on the scroll wheel, then it becomes a pan, right? So my scroll wheel on my mouse is the middle button, and so that pans around as well. So I pan over, zoom out, zoom back in, zoom back in. So versus, or if your mouse doesn't have a middle button, we have this pan button up there. So just got to remember to turn it back off when you're done. So there we go. Okay, so let's see. All right. Greg's got a comment in here. So tell Tony the toolbar shortcut is on page 4 of the NinjaTrader 7 downloads. There are some 30 pages. The fastest way to find it is there actually is a search feature in the download section. So just go into the NinjaTrader 7 download section and use the search feature to search through the NinjaTrader downloads and just search for toolbar. That's how I found it. And so GW's asking, have you ever used the Logic Ultimate Renko? Yes, I have. And let's see, oh, I thought I had a chart with it, but actually I took it off. So yes, I have used it, and it works. I think I did notice that it seems to bog down NinjaTrader if you let it run for too many days. That's kind of what I seem to notice. I'm not sure if it's the bar type or something else. I haven't actually isolated it to that bar type, but I kind of suspect that bar type. I'm not sure if it's maybe a memory hog or something, but it's just kind of my suspicion. But it does work with BloodHound just fine. And I do like the features where you set the reversal as a percentage instead of ticks. That's kind of a neat option. All right, so Tony's saying, I like Buddy's question, which I also have. For example, on a proprietary system called Boomerang, it gives a arrow on the screen as a signal, but it does not give a data value on when it happens. But BloodHound can BloodHound detect that arrow on a NinjaTrader or any NinjaTrader icon when it is painted on the screen? So no, no, that capability is not built into NinjaTrader. So when an indicator or some other system throws these chart markers on here, so these are all called chart markers, right? So if you go to your chart, you'll see they're all listed under chart markers here. So no, NinjaTrader doesn't provide a way to scan for these chart markers or detect when they are placed on the chart. So hopefully someday Jeremy might find a workaround or a quote hack, which would be an unsupported feature of NinjaTrader to do that. But what that also means is that with so if we discovered a way to do it in NinjaTrader 8, it doesn't mean it would be available in if we found a way to do it in NinjaTrader 7, NinjaTrader might remove that capability in version 8, because it would be an unsupported feature that, if we found a quote hack to do that. And Randy's saying, simply put, BloodHound can only work with what it's given. Thanks, Randy. Yeah. So really, kind of get back to this. Excuse me. Kind of get back to this. So NinjaTrader, or I should say BloodHound, is able to read plots, a data series, and there's also another type that's called a bool series that BloodHound can read as well. So because these are all data structures is what they are. So they're standard data structures that NinjaTrader will pass from one indicator to another indicator. But NinjaTrader doesn't pass these chart marker data from one indicator to another. But I know that there's another indicator I have on here that, oh wait, actually, let me check the T3 revolution. I think, let's see, no, it has all plots. Is it the trigger lines maybe? No, those are all plots. All right, so it's not that. Let's see, the TSF. Oh shoot, there's a specialized TSF trend indicator from a company that had a a bool series that I was hoping to show you guys. Oh, here we go. The time zone colors. That's right. I put a bool series into this. So this time zone colors. You don't need it anymore because we actually have a time solver with BloodHound. But I took this time zone colors from Big Mike's and modified it and added a bool series so that you could know when the first, so you'd know which time region you're in. So on your chart, if you're in time region 1, which I have set from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., this bool series right here would give you a value of 1 if you're within time region 1. And then if you're outside of this time, then it would return a bool of false, or a value of 0. So BloodHound can also read a bool series as well. So all right. Let's keep going. There's still a few more questions here. All right, Hans, looks like Hans has a question here. Hi, Zach. Could you please explain again shortly in which case it would be better to use 2 separate solvers up, down, instead of one set to both? Let's see. Okay. So what I was showing at the beginning of the workshop was the standard threshold solver. Let me open this up a little more. And I'm going to change this to a digital type output. Makes it a little easier to read on the chart. Right, so the threshold solver is kind of, your standard solver to look when your indicator is above a certain value. Right, so right now the way we have it set up is we're looking for the stochastic to be above 80, right? And so so we want a long output when the stochastic is at 80 or greater, and then we're getting the short output when it is at 20 or less, or in other words, below 20. So that's kind of the standard, the standard kind of condition that probably most people are using. But in today's lesson, we wanted to hold on to this long permissive. As soon as the stochastic crossed above 80, we wanted to hold on to it until the stochastic crossed below 70. Right, so in other words, you can see right here, right, so from the threshold solver, we're only getting along when it's above 80. And so we can see, like right here is a good example. So the stochastic is still, like, it's just barely below 80, you can see, right? So this green line represents 80. So we can see that, the stochastic is holding on to, it's just below 80, but say we want to kind of still hold on to this long permissive, just to kind of basically to kind of take out some of the whipsaw action of your indicator. So Sandra wanted to hold on to this long condition until we crossed below 70. So we kind of built in some leeway to hold on to this long condition, and that was basically crossing below 70. And so that's what this created here. So now we can see we're still holding on to this long permissive until we cross below 70. Because there's probably some other, yeah, like here's another example on the short side. Let me take a look at the shorts here. So on the shorts here, so this line right here is our 20. So we dipped below 20. Let's take a look at the threshold solver again. So with the threshold solver set to 20, we can see it only dipped below for 2 bars. But this setup right here, right, it's holding on to that dip below 20 until we actually cross above 30. Therefore, just kind of holding on to this short permissive for just a few more bars. Basically, it's waiting to see, just to make sure that price is really going to change direction. I guess that's what it could be used for. Yeah, like right here. Let's take a look at this area right here. So if I use the standard threshold model, all right, so we get 2 bars below 20, and then, you know, the stochastic is just riding above 20 for a few bars, and then dips down below 20 again. So, and you're probably saying to yourself, well, why don't we just set this to 25? And, you know, that might work for your system. But the same thing could happen at 25, right? The stochastic could come down and kind of ride above and below your 25 value in some instances, right? So building this system here, just kind of really, right, it'll hold on to your short condition until price really kind of makes a move and forces the stochastic to cross above the 30 level. Just really making sure that price really is going to take off to the long side and not just kind of dance around a little bit before it goes short again. So Hans, I hope that kind of gave you another explanation. It clears it up for you a little bit there. All right, so Randy's asking, when a system generates a signal, the developer has the option of creating an exposed output as well as a plotted marker. Yes, but it's up to them to decide whether they want it available or not. Yeah, well, you know, I'd say in the defense of most programmers, most people aren't really looking into automating, you know, someone else's indicators, just because most people don't know how to program. So up until now, you had to know how to program in NinjaTrader in order to take, you know, someone's indicator and turning it into a strategy or building a strategy off of it. And so up until now, really third-party developers haven't needed to provide I'll just say a data series output for building a strategy with their indicator. You know, so BloodHound is kind of changing the game now. And so hopefully now these third-party developers will start providing a data series in their indicators to hook up with BloodHound, now that it's much easier to create a fully automated trading system. But in the past, you had to be a programmer, and there's not many of those out there. So once again, third-party developers really had no need to do that. Probably the guys who were doing that, like this ADX VMA indicator that I showed you, you know, this was written by a programmer up on Big Mike's, and he was probably using it to build an automated trading system. So that's probably why this ADX VMA had this data series in it, because it came from a programmer who was probably building automated strategies. So don't be shy, ask these guys to modify their indicator. It doesn't take much time. And Randy's saying that Supertrend has a bool. Yeah, let's take a look here. I may not have Supertrend loaded up either. Let's see. I think it's called TS Supertrend. Is that right? I don't have that on here either. All right. Shoot. I need to get those indicators loaded. All right. So Tony's asking, on your webinar that you conducted 1 week prior to the next gen webinar, I think you called it working on multiple time frames. Okay. How similar is the logic to what next gen does? I thought that session was also terrific. You know, Tony, I'm not sure how close that was to next gen system. I don't think it was probably not that close at all. You know, John Novak's next gen system is Revolution Trade, or the Revolution indicator has a whole bunch of different conditions built into it that provides those arrows as a signal. So he's looking at a whole, even though it's all packaged into one indicator, but it is looking at a lot of different conditions or trade signals that he teaches. So some of them are different momentum type trade signals. Some of them are just, I guess, standard small trigger, large trigger, signals. So I don't think I did anything similar to next gen. I just did something very basic from next gen. So Randy's saying that actually he doesn't think that Supertrend does have a bull series. All right. I think, Randy, you might be talking about the TSF trend indicator. That has a bull series in it. But I don't have that loaded up in my chart, or I would have shown that to you guys. All right, Richard has a question. Can you please explain again how to permanently turn on the chart marker toolbar on the left side of the chart? I also noticed that when you mouse over the indicator menu, that little balloon, let's see, pops up to explain what they are. Is that balloon an option? I don't know, Richard. I didn't build this. So I don't think it's an option. I didn't go in and turn anything on or turn anything off. So I don't know. I would suggest asking that question up on Big Mike, so you can post a question on the download section there. But anyway, this toolbar just loads up as an indicator. So it's just an indicator that loads up on the chart, just like so. You can turn off different sections, like the channels here. Yeah, usually I have the channels turned off. I usually have the fibs turned off, because I don't draw channels or fibs. I just want the lines and the markers. So, so there we go. You can see it kind of shortened up my list there, and I got rid of the section in the middle that drew channels and fibs. Okay. And you know what? Sorry, Darren, I've kind of put your question off. So, Darren, let me read your question again. Okay, yeah, so Darren's question is, can you do something about entry and exit logic, or tell me where the best place to look for a video? So yeah, let me show that for you. So I'm going to bring up BloodHound and go to the, I'll just bring up the video tutorials, and basically it's just going to load up the website for me. And so I'm going to, let's see, actually, maybe I do have that in the video tutorials. Let me see where I put that video. I might have put it down at the bottom. No. All right, let me check the tips and tricks section. And okay, so well, here's one example. Darren, here's one example of how to create a exit logic so that it makes sure that Raven exits all of your trade at whatever time you want to stop trading during the day. So this tips and tricks, right? This is a tips and tricks video. We'll show you how to build an exit logic. But we have a video that shows you kind of the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that it was a workshop video, but we posted it in the Getting Started section. So let's bring that up. So we have the Getting Started section, and what we want to do is go to step 2. So we go to step 2 for more information. And at the bottom of the page here, so you can see there's workshop videos for each solver. So if you haven't gone through these yet, I'd recommend you go through each of these workshops that explains how each of the solvers work. And this is just a convenience link to the tips and tricks section. And so then there's one for building a system from start to finish. But what you really want, Darren, is this video on Raven. All right, so watch this video on Raven here. And that'll show you the entry and exit logic. And, all right, Tony has another question. On the logic node, or the logic template. So let's bring this back up. Once I build a number of individual system logic, is there a way I can copy one system from a separate template and copy those logic, aka reuse the logic and not rebuild? No, not yet. Not yet, but Jeremy is working on basically, yeah, so let me kind of explain this for other people in the room. So what some people do is they'll create, you know, multiple logic templates here. So some people will create a logic template, you know, for each different kind of signal. And, you know, so of course you got this logic all built up, and you want all of the signals to show on your chart. And so right now you have to basically recreate all, you know, so if you separate them out on different logic templates, you just kind of have to rebuild that logic in one template in order to get all of your signals to show up on a chart. But Jeremy is working on a special node that will represent the entire logic template. So you'll have a node, you'll have a node that would be called new logic 1, and you put that node on this template, and then you can have another node representing new logic 2 on this template, and then you can just take those nodes and join them all together and plug them into the result node. So that's something that we have on the drawing board. We realize that would be a major convenience for people. So either that, or we would basically build a copy button, so you could select a whole bunch of nodes, and we would have a copy button, and we'll have this eventually as well. We'll have a copy button, and then you could go to a different logic board and paste what you have selected. So, but for now, you would just have to, basically you would just have to go and drop your nodes back on, and just rebuild the system for now. So we're getting there. We're getting there, just not quite yet. Okay, Greg is asking, as an example, can you show how to generate a P&L report for the system you built today? Let's see. Sorry, Greg, I am out of time. I'm trying to wrap this up. But in order to do that, you would have to put, well, actually, yeah, I'll do this really. Oh, I don't have data. Shoot. I don't have a data connection, so I can't bring up Raven. But essentially, you put Raven. So this is a NinjaTrader thing. So you put Raven on your chart, get that set up, and then you'll have a strategy report, and you can just pull up historic and real-time or historical data, and the strategy report would work for you. Huh, interesting. Somehow I do have trade data on here, and oh, Raven is on the chart, but it's not going to run without a live data feed. So that's probably what my problem is. So anyway, so there you go. Because I had Raven on this chart already, I was able to pull up a P&L report of, looks like probably trades that was done a couple days ago. Let's see, graph, executions. Oh, so trades that were taken back on the 26th. So, yeah, so Greg, that's how you pull up a P&L. Strategy performance, and then you can just look at real-time trades only, historical, and real-time or historical. So, for more information on these strategy performances, NinjaTrader has a workshop on how to use strategies, and so they go into far more detail. I'm sure you can find that workshop video on their YouTube page, or you can attend a live workshop as well. So Tim is asking, can anyone download stuff from Big Mike's? Yes. Well, you do have to sign up and sign in to the forum before you can download stuff. So you do have to have an account there, and then you can download stuff. There's also an elite section. So if you quote donate and become an elite member, then you'll have access to an elite downloads as well. So I think the toolbar is just in the regular download section. And all right, Richard has a follow-up. Can you clarify if that toolbar shortcut you showed a third-party plugin? You showed a third-party plugin. I'm asking because it's not in my Ninja indicator menu. Correct. Yes, Richard. This toolbar shortcut is a download off of BigMike'sTrading.com. So Big Mike's Trading Forum. It has a download section. Much like on NinjaTrader Support Forum, they have a download section of indicators and strategies and whatnot. So who knows? Somebody might have reposted this toolbar on NinjaTrader Support Forum as well. So you might check there, but I got mine from Big Mike's. All right. I think Greg's got a comment. Membership in Big Mike's is just $50. That's right. It's just a one-time donation to become an elite member. And Greg says it's $50. So, oh, he's saying it is required to download the toolbar. Okay, well, there you go, guys. So I guess the toolbar is in the elite section. And please do not ask me to pass it to you. I will not email any indicators I get from Big Mike's. If I show you guys, downloads from Big Mike's, you will have to go to Big Mike and get it yourself. So now that I know, and the reason why I do that, the reason why I will not email indicators from Big Mike's or NinjaTrader is because I don't know which indicators are in the elite section or not, and I'm not going to violate Big Mike's rules, I guess you could say. Where if an indicator or any downloads in the elite section, we're not, it's in the elite section for a reason. So become an elite member and you'll have access to it. Thanks for that tip. So Tim, I was told it was $50. And someone is saying it's going to be raised to $100. Holy smokes. It's a pretty hefty donation there. If that's true, I would join as quickly as possible. $50 to $100 raise is pretty significant. That $100 might be a suggestion, because I know when I joined there was a suggested amount and then there was a minimum amount. So Richard was asking, is that the same for the balloons that I see popping up when you mouse over the indicator menu? The indicator menu. Let's see. Maybe you mean this. So in your properties, if your properties are squishing the description, you'll see, it pops out at you. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about, or, I mean, this pop-up is just a programming pop-up thing, pop-up description that the author decided to put in there for convenience. All right. So yeah, Randy's just quick comment saying membership was $25 when he joined. Yeah, it was $25 when I joined too. And that was years ago, many years ago. All right, well guys, looks like I got through all your questions. So thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next Friday, and have a great weekend. All right, bye-bye guys.